Well, what makes a person who's devoted his professional life helping children in his own community reach out, not just across state lines, but across a much bigger and broader?
Really, it takes a certain something, maybe a calling, maybe undying patience, maybe just a big heart. Recently, on assignment in Mexico, I found a local man and some of his friends who have all of the above.
When John Shinsky was 8 years old, his father died, and his mother, knowing that ends wouldn't meet, gave him up to the Catholic orphanage in Cleveland, Ohio.
And you've got a lot of mixed feelings when you're going into an orphanage and not knowing where you're going to live or where you're going to be or who's going to take care of you or what your future is going to be.
Somehow, through football and luck, he ended up at Michigan State University, recruited by the legendary Duffy Daugherty. He got his degree, and what's more, he made a vow.
And I said, at that time, I said, I'm going to build a home for kids someday. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I'm going to do it so that those kids can have an opportunity like I've had.
He also got the chance to play on a team with guys who would be there for him, and vice versa, the rest of their lives.
We are a family. We came up together. We've supported each other.
The late Brad Van Pelt, NFL Hall of Famer Joe DeLamielleure, Lansing's Kelly Dean, and L.J. Bowron.
My experience with my teammates is far beyond anything you could imagine.
Fast forward nearly 40 years to a chance meeting Shinsky had on a flight down to Texas.
When I sat next to a young man who was on spring break, and I asked him what he was doing, and he says, I'm going over to work at an orphanage at Matamoros. He said, it's awful. They have rats, and it's very bad.
John didn't let on that he was an orphan himself, but he did go over to see the folks who ran that old orphanage in Matamoros.
I thought they were going to say food and clothing, and they said, we need a new orphanage. And I knew right at that time that my commitment 30 years ago had just been answered. You're a part of it. It's your place. You can go down there anytime you want.
But it wouldn't be easy. Despite a gift of 17 acres of land, he needed nearly $1 million to break ground and make it all happen. So he planned extensive fundraisers locally, and he leaned on that special family of teammates.
I could call any one of the players I played with right now, anywhere, and say, I'm coming over your house tomorrow to visit with you, and the door would be open.
Only this time, John wasn't planning a social call. Just a little ride from Lansing to Mexico by bicycle.
Once we walked out of Spartan Stadium like that, man, we're inspired for the entire trip.
2,000 miles to Matamoros.
Okay, we've just arrived in the outskirts of Madisonville.
Collecting pledges along the way, pledges totaling more than $500,000. The 18-day ride was a big success. After all, they survived it, raised awareness, raised a ton of money, and after years of planning, the building phase was finally happening. And not a moment too soon. All we've heard about recently from this part of Mexico has been violence with the drug cartels, and it's true, it has been bad. But the bigger problem for decades longer has been the abject poverty these people are living in. It's causing them to uproot by the thousands and go across the border into the U.S., many times leaving everything behind, many times leaving behind their own children, the true tragic casualty of a bad situation.
And if you just travel the streets of Matamoros, you will see kids in poverty, kids begging for food, kids abandoned and just walking the streets.
For Hall of Famer DeLamielleure, the bike marathon was no picnic, but amazingly, for someone whose NFL career got him enshrined in Canton.
My wife said on my tombstone, it's not going to say he was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. She said people at that funeral are going to say he rode 2,000 miles when he was 58 years old with his two best friends. That's the best, and we did good.
Tonight at 11, we'll take you inside this place of hope and love that thousands of people from mid-Michigan helped build with their donations. We'll also introduce you to the first group of residents at the City of Children, saved by one Spartan, his teammates, and an entire community. People who cared enough to make a difference from the banks of the Red Cedar across the Rio Grande.
That's such a great story. You went there. You saw that orphanage firsthand.
And everything around it.
How many kids are there right now, Dave?
There's almost 20 children right now, and they literally each week or two are trying to add more. Eventually, when they get it all built, they're going to have about 120 kids right at that site.
And probably easily able to do that, too, because the need is so great.
Oh, they could take in so many more, but you know, you have to start small and build. And for those who'd like to help John with his orphanage in Mexico, it's easy to do. Just go to our website, WLNS.com, and right on our homepage, right in the middle, click the City of Children children, Ciudad de los Niños icon. You'll get more info, and you can make a secure donation.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're going to have more
More
for us
tonight at 11 o'clock
Can't wait
inside
to
the
see.
orphanage.
Man, such a great story, Dave. Thank you so much. Well, how much